The culture wars still matter. Everyone on the right wants to see Planned Parenthood get defunded, and it might actually happen. It's currently in the big, beautiful bill. Gender transitions would also be defunded as it's currently written. So joining us now is Terry Schilling. He's the president of the American Principles Project, here to talk about this, where the pro-life movement is headed. And we still have to ask the question, what is a woman? So Terry, thanks so much for joining us tonight.
Thanks so much for having me, Jill.
So tell me, is this true? Tell me that Congress is going to finally defund Planned Parenthood. We waited long enough for this, Terry.
Oh man, Jill, it's been decades, and this has been something that the conservative movement, the pro-life movement, Republicans in general have been trying to secure for literally decades. And it looks promising right now. It is included in both bills, in both the House, the passed version in the House, and also in the Senate. The big question is whether or not this provision passes the bird bath. Now, this is a esoteric parliamentarian rule that basically says that all of these things have to be financial in nature and that they can't be policy-related matters. That's why they can get around the 60-vote filibuster threshold. But I'm very excited. I'm very hopeful and optimistic that we're finally going to get this done. So I would be placing my bet on the yes side of this debate.
Terry, you look like you got some sun. Were you golfing recently?
I was golfing, but more importantly, I spent last week in the middle of nowhere in the wild, wild west known as Wyoming without any cell phone reception. Chris, I rode a horse through a river and up a mountain. I don't know a lot of guys that can say that, so that's I'm a big boy now.
That's amazing. Now, you say Republicans have been trying to defund Planned Parenthood for decades. I don't really get the same feeling. I feel like they say that on the campaign trail, and they say, oh, we tried, but they don't actually. It feels like a lot of Republicans were actually really disappointed when the decision came down, striking down Roe v. Wade, because now they actually have to vote on it. Now they have to take their consequences from the legions of the armies of white women marching on them from Mordor to take away their jobs. Do you feel like they're actually serious this time? Are you getting from leadership that they're serious? And with the Senate parliamentarians stripping out almost anything that has to do with policy, are you still hopeful that that defunding Planned Parenthood will actually survive a Harry Reid parliamentarian who's not really that excited about Republicans' ideas?
No, look, I'm still optimistic that this will remain in the bill. There's too much political support behind it, primarily from the American people, by the way. Over 60% of Americans do not want tax dollars going towards funding abortion procedures. So I'm optimistic on that front. But this is the elephant in the room, for lack of a better comparison. Republicans have been terrible. They've been lagging indicators in the culture war. Now, I will tell you that has changed. And it's changed because this is actually in the bill. We haven't seen this since the attempt to repeal Obamacare when John McCain screwed us. But I'm optimistic. I think Donald Trump has shown Republicans how to fight back in the culture war and how to win. And obviously, there's room for improvement in this Republican Party. But I think it's a big deal that this has passed the House with a very slim majority that we have here. You know, there's a lot of things that didn't get cut in the budget, but this has remained in there. And so I think it's a big tell that the Republican Party might actually start to becoming a good team player on the culture war front.
All right, so you both have mentioned Roe versus Wade getting overturned. It was actually the 3-year anniversary of that yesterday. So Terry, just take us through how much progress or not have we made in these 3 years?
And in the states, too, and convincing people to actually that this is something worth fighting for.
Well, and you both bring up very good points. So to be frank, there's been some good progress. We are cutting back taxpayer funding in the red states for abortions. We are restricting it. We are passing common sense laws like in Texas and in Florida. Texas has a great law. It's a heartbeat law, and they've essentially eliminated all of abortions. But here's where it gets very frustrating. Post Roe v. Wade, post Dobbs, where we overturned Roe v. Wade, we've actually seen a 10% increase in abortions across America. And that's according to the Charlotte Lozier Institute, which is part of Susan B. Anthony, Pro-Life America. And essentially what's causing that is the blue states have passed what's known as shield laws. that allow them to recruit and advertise for abortion services in the red states and the border states that are along them. But it also allows their pharmaceutical companies and their doctors to mail out abortion drugs to the red states. So look, there's a lot more work that needs to be done. And frankly, I don't know how this remains a states issue. I know that President Trump made a promise on that, and I don't expect him to change that promise. But I do hope that in the future, we will bring more attention to the fact that these blue states have weaponized their laws to make sure that we're aborting more babies. I found it rich yesterday seeing Eric Swalwell and Gavin Newsom and J.B. Pritzker talking about how reproductive rights are under attack when there are more abortions today than there were before Dobbs. Right? I want to repeat that. There are more abortions today than there were before Dobbs. So what are Democrats not happy about? Do they want 20% more abortions? Do they want 50% increase in abortions? How many more abortions is it going to take to satisfy the Democratic Party? And the answer is none. The answer is they will never be satisfied until every baby is under threat from abortion. And it's just unfortunate. These guys are all charlatans. I will just say, Americans they have a very difficult to understand mindset on abortion, but it's also simple. They don't like late-term abortions. They don't like any abortion after 15 weeks. Essentially, there's a 2/3 majority for that. But anything outside of that in the first trimester, they're pretty ambivalent and they don't want to take anything. And we've got to figure out a way to counteract, especially these ballot initiatives that are amending these state constitutions to allow for any abortion up until the moment of birth.
And one place where American Principles Project has actually made serious inroads in the culture and with voters is on transgender issues. APP was among the first, if not the first, on the Republican side to be pushing these and campaign advertisements. And then you got the president to sign on to what became his most effective ad. You've also protested in front of hospitals to try to draw attention to children's hospitals where genital mutilation is happening. What is going on with these hospitals that are seemingly ignoring the rules that now the FBI is investigating for genital mutilation of children?
Well, President Trump has been very strong on this issue, and he signed several executive orders to ban these and make these procedures, especially mostly for children, to make these illegal. And he's instructed the Department of Justice to investigate these hospitals that are performing these procedures on children and to make sure that they're no longer doing it. But Chris, this is a fight that we have a little bit more ways to go. We still have to ban these procedures nationwide. The nature of these things, it's the sex change industry, it's the abortion industry. These are industries. And what that means is that they are for profit, and they take those profits and they try to make more profits. So they take the money that they make in California with all the sex change procedures they give to children, all the abortion that they perform, they take those profits and then they put that into lobbying in the red states. They put that into lobbying in the nation's capital so that they can keep expanding. They can keep expanding their culture of death so they can make more money off of killing people and sterilizing them. So we've got to treat these issues at the threats that they are. We've got to completely defund any gender transition procedure through the federal budget. That is also in the big, beautiful bill, which we're very happy about. I really think that if we can defund these procedures nationally and make sure that taxpayer dollars aren't going to funding this stuff, I think you're going to save a lot more people all of the harm and strife that they've been suffering under after going through these procedures. I know they say they're happier, but poll after poll and survey after survey and study after study show that there are no long-term benefits to these procedures.
So gender transition, that is the serious topic, but they get a lot of cover from a lot of these pro athletes out there, Terry. We know that Simone Biles, she just deleted her X account. She had that clash back and forth with Riley Gaines talking about, the transgenders, they should be able to compete in women's sports. Well, it's 2025, Terry, and we still have to ask, what is a woman, right? Why is this still so controversial? But I guess the good news is they finally push back.
And why is Simone such a quitter? She always quits under pressure.
Chris, I like to think of it in terms of self-cancellation, right? Under the Biden administration, it was coerced cancellation. They were putting pressure on X and Facebook and all these major corporations to cancel people, get them fired, cancel their accounts, get them off of online so we can't have these arguments. But now, in the beautiful golden era of Donald Trump, progressives who are pushing more men and women's sports, more sex changes for kids, they are self-canceling. It's absolutely beautiful. But listen, I just want to say, it is so dumb to go up against anyone when it comes to arguing for and pushing for more men and women's sports, more sex changes for kids. No one wants it. No one ever wanted it, right? It was something that the left tried to sneak through, and they almost got away with it. But the other thing I'll say is taking on Riley Gaines is just really stupid. She's super nice. She's super sweet. But more importantly, she's incredibly smart, and she's fierce. I would not want to get into a debate or an argument with Riley Gaines. She would win. And Simone Biles obviously is getting a lot of pressure from her friends and allies. This is really, guys, Jill and Chris, this is really an elite-driven problem. The elites are pushing this on the American people, but poll after poll shows that 78, 79, 80% of Americans are opposed to men and girls sports, are opposed to giving kids sex change procedures. And so until the Democrats and the elites on the left figure that out, they're going to continue to lose power and lose elections.
So they'd have to keep on self-deporting from Twitter, but speaking of deportation, I learned recently from a close source that there's a rule at your neighborhood Mexican restaurant that only one person is not allowed to eat the fully loaded nachos. Terry, how did you find this out? How did you find out this rule? Was it an ugly scene?
It's funny, Chris, because I learned this because I was on a date with my wife, and I noticed that she kept eating all of the fully loaded nachos, and I was just getting little tiny chunks of meat, like barely any, like
your
little teeny tiny chunks
wife?
of meat. Yeah, and she was eating all of them, and I asked the server if that was allowed, and he said it wasn't. And so I've been reminding her every time we go out for Mexican food that she can't eat all the fully loaded nachos.
You're doing God's work, sir.
This is exactly why, by the way, this is exactly why Terry is on the show today, because I knew Bedford would be here, and I said, you know what? We're going to have some fun today. We're going to talk about culture wars. We're going to fix the problems. We're going to right all the wrongs. But we're also going to talk about some fully loaded nachos, apparently. Terry?
They're great. Thank you, guys.
Tell me where I need to go next time I'm in town.
Guapos in Arlington. It's really great. It's in Shirlington.
Guapos.
Village of Shirlington. It's fantastic.
You're bringing back dark memories of Guapos.
I love it. I absolutely love it. Thanks so much, Terry. We'll see you next time.
Thank you, guys.
Well, we've been talking about the big, beautiful bill. We will put Bedford on the spotlight. He will be up next with his Beltway Brief.